tonight. I said I was going to do it at 8 o'clock, and I'm about 10 minutes late. And had to, I don't normally do them from the computer, so it took me a few minutes to get online. I normally do everything from my phone. Hmm. Hmm. All right. So anyway, running a little behind. I normally don't do the lives uh, on the laptop. I normally do everything from my phone, so it took me a few minutes to go through all the stuff. It's a little different on the computer than it is on my phone. I was trying to do a live earlier today from the garage, and I have terrible service out there in the garage. Um, I don't know why. It's just my service isn't very good out there. So if uh, if you've seen any of that live earlier, we were basically talking about the galaxy. I think I have a photo here. If people have not seen what uh, what we got going on, let's see if I can. Where's the camera at? Right there. So it's what we're calling the world's first uh, dual VRS fed Ford FE, and I'm pretty confident in saying that because the uh, tunnel wedge style intake, that's trick flow intake, that intake is not designed to have carburetor sideways. Uh, what's happening? That intake is not designed to have carburetor sideways. So I had to basically come up with a way to make them mount sideways. If you look, where's the camera? If you look right there, um, under here. So the only way we could get that to work is first off had to have a spacer under it so that the linkage and the throttle blade, or not the throttle blades, but the side linkage there uh, could clear the distributor and all. Oklahoma, wow. So they would clear the distributor. So we had to do a 2-inch spacer under there. Then I had to put an adapter on it to turn it sideways, and then we had to fabricate a bracket to hold the transition piece for the linkage. It was kind of a big undertaking to get it to mount sideways. So I feel comfortable in saying the world's first dual VRS fed Ford FE. It's something that I think it's going to be pretty rowdy. It sounds incredibly rowdy. I don't know if I've never tried to do this before. Let me see if I can make this work. Maybe you can. Where's the? Yeah, I'm not sure how well that comes across on a live video like that, but yeah, we put a lot of effort into getting that thing to work, and hopefully, uh, be able to go next week and test that. I want to go to the track next week. I can't do it this weekend, but I want to get to the track next weekend to test that because it's rowdy, it's happy, and it won't. I think it's going to be pretty. I don't know if the sound comes across through like that or not, but um, I think it's going to be pretty rowdy. What I'm a little concerned about with that combination now is that we may be getting close to the edge of what stock frame can can handle. I don't know how much power a stock frame can handle in 63. The benefit of that frame is it is a boxed frame from the factory, so it should be a little stronger uh, than some frames. So I don't know how much power that frame will handle, but hopefully hopefully it will it will take what we put to it. We are going to add some more bars to the cage to help stiffen it up a little bit. So, and all that will be done before the No Name Nationals, which is in September. Um, I have the ability for it to make more power than what it does. I don't know if the chassis can support the power it makes now till I get out and make some passes on it. So again, hopefully hopefully we'll have some passes under it next week. That's what I want to do. Take it to the track next week and test it. Depends upon the weather. Right now they're saying there's a chance that some bad weather will come through again next week. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But as as long as there's some decent weather, um, we're gonna test it next week. Take it to Shadyside. If all goes well, then it'll just be a few maintenancey things. I want to run a couple little maintenancey things through it, but for the most part, it'll be ready for the season. The first event that we plan on going to is to the Flashlight Frenzy. It's in March. Yeah, about the block. So the block, I don't remember who made the block. I'll have to go back and look. I bought the block used secondhand. The block's got a 4190 bore, um, and it's basically the opposite of a 445 stroker kit. It's close. It's close to the same cubic inch, but this has a big bore, short stroke, where the 445 is a long stroke, smaller bore. Um, but I bought the block secondhand. It was used. It was a used block, but it was a used block, but it hadn't been ran. Uh, I bought it from a guy who bought. I So there's a guy that was building a race car for the same organization I used to race for, and he bought a whole bunch of stuff. Uh, Changed his mind on a few things. I think he even changed bodies he was going with. Then he went to Windsor. Anyway, all this stuff. Anyway, This was a short block he had already had. And I don't remember who made the block, but I actually pulled it had a forward crank in it. I pulled the forward crank and rods and pistons, and I pulled all that stuff out of it and just kept the aftermarket block. I then went to Scat and got Scat. Yeah, I went to Scat and got a crank. Um, this is over the course of 2 years, piecing together parts for this engine. I then went to Scat and got a crank, and it took me. Nobody had rods in stock at that point in time, and it took me about 2 months to find somebody that had rods in stock, and it's got Scat rods in it. And then I called. There's a company that I have a dealer account with. It's kind of like a warehouse. I called them, and one of the places they have an account with is DSS. So I got some DSS pistons made for it, some forged flat top pistons made for it. And what else did we do to it? We didn't have it block deck because by the time we put all that in there, it was as close to zero deck as you could get without actually being zero decked. I think it's like 0.001. It's right there. It's right at zero. Probably as close as it's gonna get anyway. Then we got the trick flow heads. There's a dealer that had some in North Carolina. We got the trick flow heads, and we put the trick flow heads on it. I got the trick flow intake from Summit, and then of course the VRS carburetors came straight from Edelbrock, and Urson Cam, Crowler, solid roller lifters, Smith Brothers push rods, Hooker super comp headers. We put together a pretty potent combination. Everything is pretty. There's a lot of research went into it, and there was a lot of hours spent on the phone and emails and stuff to try to get all these right parts together. This thing should make some serious power. Um, we hope. I mean, honestly, I don't know what it'll run. I got no idea because we haven't made a single pass in it yet. But again, hopefully next week we'll be able to start making some passes in it and get out there and see what happens. I think not this weekend, but next weekend on Sunday, Sunday afternoon, Shady Side will be having a testing tune unless the weather turns bad. And if they do, we're going to carry the car up there, and we're gonna make a test pass and just see how the car runs. I think we're going to have to make a couple of 60-foot pulls to dial everything in because right now we don't have. We just kind of got a guess for the timing in it. Kind of got a guess for the tune on the carburetors and all this stuff. So um, I'm gonna have to make a pass, and it'll probably be a couple of 60-foot pulls, and then after a couple of 60-foot pulls, then we'll probably come back and try to send it. Um, got to make sure we're getting wide on throttle. All these little things with a new build that we don't know yet. They're kind of unknowns. Um, I do need to add another return spring to the carburetor. It has return springs on it, but it needs another one. I need to do that before we test. I also got to put a belt on the water pump. It's not hooked up at the moment. But we should be ready to test next week in the car. Um, I'm waiting on some parts to come for the Cougar too, because we got some big things coming for the Cougar. I've got something in the works for it I'm actually waiting on an email about some parts for the Cougar, and then the Cougar will come back. The Cougar will never make as much power as that Galaxy's making, but the Cougar doesn't need to make as much power as that Galaxy's making. Uh, the Galaxy doesn't need to be making as much power as the Galaxy's making. It's again, I'm questioning whether I'm reaching the limits of the stock frame rails. The car does twist a little bit. The car did twist a little bit with the old engine in it. So with this engine in it, it's probably going to be a little excessive. Uh, Power Tour. Is anybody going on Power Tour? Power Tour, the routes and the registration for Power Tour came out yesterday, I believe. The official registration opened up. And I don't know if you can see them. We've done it every year. We've got a bunch of them up there. And we absolutely love doing Power Tour. So we're going to do Power Tour again this year. We're going to do it this year in the wagon. Um, we got kind of a bunch of irons in the fire, but I think the Galaxy is ready to go. Barring we have any issues with testing it, as long as there's no issues with testing it, the Galaxy is ready to go. It's buttoned up. The Cougar, we got a couple things coming for the Cougar. We got a surprise coming that I'm waiting on an email and all about, and then we'll have a surprise coming for the Cougar. And then I got to do some transmission work to the Cougar, and then the Cougar will be ready to do some things. We may take the Cougar to George Ray's this year. We've been talking about going to George Ray's for a couple of years, but haven't done it. So we may take the Cougar out there. It's a long drive, but if we do it, I want to drive it out there. I think it's like a 12 or 13-hour drive from here. But we want to do that. And the wagon, I got to get ready for Power Tour. Everything else is pretty much ready. Hello, Tennessee. So I think everything else is pretty. I think everything's getting pretty dialed in. And for the start of all the races and everything, we're going to start in March with the races. And again, our first one is planned that I know of right now is going to be Flashlight Frenzy at Ware Shoals in March, I believe. That's going to be the first race that we attend. And we're taking the Galaxy to it because we'll run it in stick shift class. The Cougar, I'm not sure what events yet we're taking the Cougar to. I really don't. I know we'll do some shows and stuff with it. I do want to take it to George Ray's at some point and make some passes with it out there just to go. The wagon's going on Power Tour. And, of course, then we got that 67 F100 that we're going to put together. The budget build we're going to do at one time, the world's cheapest 67 F100. All that will come this year, along with finishing up that Jeep project that we're doing, that we've been tinkering with on the side, on and off for a while. We've got a lot of cool things floating around out there. But I know the Galaxy's running the Flashlight Frenzy races. There's 3 of those. I know the Galaxy is going to the No Name Nationals. I know the Galaxy's going to the No Name Nationals. I think I'm going to take the Galaxy on the Dragon Drive this year. That's kind of loosely the plan right now. It really all depends on how rowdy and radical that engine is, and it may not be street friendly at all, but we're gonna find out. And as long as it's street friendly, then we may take the Galaxy on the Dragon Drive. I do have every single thing working on that car, right down to the AM radio works in that car. So it is as street as it gets. The Cougar, I know we're going to do some shows. I could do the Dragon Drive with the Cougar, but I kind of like running the stick shift classes, and the Cougar's an automatic. It's the only automatic that we got. Uh, so I could take the Cougar on it, but I don't know. I don't know where we're going to take the Cougar yet. We've been talking about doing uh, the FE reunion in Pennsylvania, but I don't know if I'm. I don't know. I don't know if I want to go all the way to Pennsylvania, even though I am going to Missouri for a race. I don't know if I want to go to Pennsylvania on the other side. Um, but I think we've got things lined out to where we can have a pretty good year this year and do a lot of filming and get you guys a lot of content. Uh, there should be a lot of race footage this year compared to last year. Last year was the least amount I've raced in probably 10 years, 6 years anyway. It's the least amount that I've raced. I didn't go to many races in 2024. Um, but we're going to do the best we can to have enough running vehicles to where we can go to a race at any time we want to, whether it be take the Galaxy. If there's some issue with the Galaxy, we'll have the Cougar. We can take the Cougar. If there's some issue with the Cougar, maybe the F100 is running at the time. I don't know if I want to make the F100 that rowdy. Doing a budget build on it, I don't know that I want to get that rowdy with that truck. So I'm not sure yet. But on our radar is the races at Ware Shoals, the Flashlight Frenzies. On our radar is the No Name Nationals. We're doing that. On the radar is um, the Street and Eat Dragon Drive. We had so much fun doing that last year that we want to do it again. What else have we got earmarked? Um, there was another one that we kind of had tucked away that we really wanted to do. Well, it's because how do I keep up with so many? Well, it's honestly, but none of them has been a quick thing. All of them has been the Cougar's been around here for 6 or 7 years and slowly adding to it, adding to it, adding to it to get it where it is. The wagon's been here like 5 years. The Galaxy's been here 6 years, I think. So all of them have been slow progress. All of them have been just a little here and a little here and a little here. The Cougar, honestly, there's really been no real money spent on the Cougar. The Cougar was an accident. The Cougar was built out of leftover parts from everything else. It was like, uh, and when I say that, I mean everything because I had a car that was getting crushed. I pulled the engine out of and tore it down to get the block. Uh, my local machine shop had a engine come in that needed freshen up. They didn't know it was already 60 over, so they couldn't do any more with it. So he gave me the pistons there. Uh, the intake, I want to say I found the intake at like a yard sale for like $20. The Cougar pretty much has been everybody else's throwaway parts. It is a combination that I could probably never repeat. It's a combination that shouldn't run like it does. It should not be as good as it is. It just shouldn't. It shouldn't sound as good as it does. It shouldn't run as good as it does. It just it should be on paper. It should be an absolute just clanking, rattling turd. But that thing is so gnarly and so rowdy. You can just, I mean, you can't stomp it to the floor at a red light in white smoke tires. It's just insane. And I couldn't copy it if I wanted to because, like the cam in it, I have no idea what the cam is. The cam was in a box with no card or no nothing. I have no idea what it is. It's a mystery motor, and it just works. I I put that motor together in that car wanting something to drive around town, and then it works so stinking well. And then of course you throw a nitrous plate on it. Um, so that car is just a total accident. The wagon is the wagon was built on the cheap with good parts, but it never was. It wasn't like it was built with high end race parts. It was built with good stock style parts and built in such a way that I can go anywhere at any auto parts store and find parts. The only one that's got real money tied up in it and got serious money tied up in it is the Galaxy. None of those parts in that car was cheap, and it took years to build that car to where it is now. That when I started with it, I ran a 30 over 390 in it. That's all I could afford to run, and it slowly evolved into what it is now, just collecting parts in the background. It took years to make that car what it is now. Well, that's what we were talking about at the beginning of it. How fast is Galaxy? This new motor hasn't been out yet. Hopefully, we get the test next week. Hopefully, um, hopefully next week we we're able to get the track. Hopefully, we get to take it to the track next week if the weather will hold out. Shady Side is open year round for testing unless it gets too cold. Uh, this weekend I've got plans, but the car is ready right now to go test. So hopefully I get to test the car next week and find out how fast it is. Uh, it should be it should be pretty quick. I know what it did with the old motor in it, and this motor makes a lot more power. So it should be pretty quick. Um, and keep in mind that car is still uh, all all steel, real glass, uh, in interior, and everything on that car works. Factory turn signals, the AM radio, the clock in the dash, everything on that thing works. I'm actually in upstate South Carolina, um, Shady Side, uh, in Shelby, North Carolina. That racetrack is open year round, and it's about an hour and a half from here. And usually this time of year, when we go to test, we go to Shady Side. Um, but again, depends upon the weather. If it gets below, I don't remember the magic number. I think if it gets below 50 degrees, they won't test that weekend. Um, I know this time of year, depending on where you're at, uh, it may it may be colder than that all the time. But around here, it doesn't get below 50 very often. Hello, Colleen. How are you? Um, so again, we won't be able to do anything this weekend. But if the weather permits, next weekend we'll take the Galaxy and test it. Uh, Williamston, South Carolina. Um, Williamston is probably 20 minutes from me. Yeah, Mars. If the weather if it won't be this weekend, this coming weekend, it'll be the next weekend. If the weather uh doesn't dip down too cold and we can have it, I I don't know what to think about the weather anymore because it changes every day. But somebody told me earlier today that they're calling for record cold temperatures next week. So if that's the case, Shady Side may not have testing. But if The track is open next weekend. We'll test the car next weekend. Probably make a couple of 60-foot hits just to make sure everything is tight and everything. And then if everything's tight and right, then we'll probably send it. -3 last night. Good Lord, buddy. I can't. I can't. Nope. It was, I think, 53 here today, 54, something like that. And yeah, no, we ain't doing them there. You can have all that, buddy. Um, no. And I don't remember the number, but I think it's 50. I think as long as the temperature is above 50, they will let you test. Much they charge. Marsh, I think it's either 15 or 20. It's $15 or $20. I can't remember which one. I think it's $15, but it might be 20 to get in, and then you can make passes. Um, and they start. They do it on Sundays, and there's I think the laws up there because they're within so many miles of the church. I think it can't open to 12, so the track goes hot at 1, and then they run from 1 to 5 or 1 to 6, something like that. That's come your way if weather don't warm up here soon. Yeah, buddy, I tell you, we we had a cold snap last week and got that little bit of snow, and I actually done a video on it. So it started snowing about 8:30 that morning and was in the 20s. I mean, cold for around here, crazy cold. And it was in the 20s. Started snowing about 8:30 and snowed till about 12:30. And then the sun came out. There was probably about 2.5 inches of snow on the ground. The sun came out, probably got up in the 40s by dark, and the next morning all the snow was gone and you can see the green grass again. That's kind of weather we have around here. And it was in the 50s today. So we kind of get winter samplings. We don't really get a real winter around here very often. So the tracks do stay open as long as it stays. Like I said, I think the temperature is 50 because I think 50 and above they can keep the track hot with the dryers. They can keep the track warm and keep the glue down. I think if it gets below 50, they have a hard time keeping them prep on the track. Um, Oh, what we got here? It's supposed to get more cold weather on the way. Russell, that's what I hear. I don't know. That's what I hear. So I'll say if the weather stays up there, we're going to test next week. But I don't know. The weatherman's one of them people that he can get it right one time a year and keep his job. So I don't know. Uh, I used to run break at Wilkesboro, Murphysville, Farmington, Piedmont, and Rockingham. So I've raced Mooresville and Farmington, and I've been to Rockingham, but I haven't made a pass at Rockingham. Um, uh, never been to North Wilkesboro. Me and Mooresville have a love-hate relationship. The first pass I ever made in a race car was at Mooresville, and I have broke every time I've been to Mooresville. Me and Mooresville just don't get along. Now, on the street and eat driving drag, I did make it all the way down Mooresville. Got back to the pits and properly stepped out of the car and stepped in a hole and like broke my leg. So, yeah, Mooresville's got my number. Marsh says it's supposed to be 13 to 16 degrees here Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. Yeah, I heard it was supposed to get some cold weather. As long as it warms up on Sunday. I don't know. I don't want to see none of that 13 or 15 degree stuff. I don't like it because I'm going to start having to deal with freezing stuff. I hope I'm wrong too, Russell. I don't like the rock track. Too wide and long and sandy. The worst track I've been to as far as that goes was this past year we went to, I think it was Carolina. I think it was. I might have it wrong. It might not have been Carolina. But that had storm came through a few days before and washed all that sand up, and everything had dried, and then the wind was blowing a little bit, so the sand just kept blowing out and back across the track, and they'd make like 3 passes, have to shut it down, go out through there with the little blower they have, and blow the track off, and 3 or 4 passes, and they'd be sand all over it again, and it was terrible. Now I've never been to North Wilkesboro. I've never been to that track. Um, Farmington was actually good to us. We enjoyed Farmington. Uh, I've only raced Farmington one time, but it was good to us. We made some good passes there. Uh, there's a track in Indiana that's a beautiful track that we raced at a few times. Lyons, Indiana. That's a beautiful track up there. We raced at a few times. Yeah, Farming is a good track. We enjoyed Farmington. Like I said, we raced there one time, but we enjoyed it. There's one in Kentucky that I liked just because of the scenery. I can't remember the name of it. We were literally on top of the mountain in Kentucky. When I say top of the mountain, I mean you look down at everything. That track had a great view. I can't remember the name of the track though, but it was a beautiful track. Uh, I want to make a pass at Bristol, and I had the opportunity 2 years ago, I think, at Power Tour, and I just didn't do it. I should have, because Power Tour came through there, and I should have done it. Um, but definitely, depending on the weather this week, I will probably go ahead. I got to put a belt on the Galaxy, a new belt on it, and I'll probably go ahead and load it up on a ramp truck and have it ready to go. Right, Bristol one time. I want to go to Bristol and make a pass just to say I made a pass at Bristol. I mean, honestly, that's just it, because Bristol's one of those things that everybody says. Yeah, Bristol's kind of a bucket list track. Yeah, everybody talks about Bristol, so I kind of want to make a pass at Bristol just to say I have. Uh, I may. We're going to take the wagon on Power Tour this year, and the last stop on Power Tour is what's it called? Summit Motorsports Park in Norwalk, Ohio. Uh, so I may actually, I've never been down that track, so I may actually take the wagon. It's not fast, but I may take the wagon and just send it down out just to say I've made a pass in Norwalk. Um, because again, we're taking a wagon and it's got a highway gear in it, so it's getting way too high to be fast. But just to say I made a pass on that track, I may go down it. Bristol is beautiful. It is. We went to Bristol on Power Tour that year, and we were there, but I ended up I ended up sitting in the stands and watching racing, and spent my day just watching everybody else make passes, and I didn't make a pass. I should have, but I didn't. Um, I'm trying to think if there's any other tracks that I'd really want to make a pass at. See, I've never seen Richard. I've never seen Norwalk. I've never even seen that track in person. I've only seen it on TV. So uh, I'm kind of anxious to see it in person. I've never even laid eyes on that track, so uh, I don't even really understand what it looks like. I've seen the racing surface on TV, when you see 2 cars go down, but I've never actually seen the facility at all. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what that actually looks like. Um, and another place that I want to make a pass at, just say I made a pass at, and I don't know when I'm going to, but maybe this year I can get out there. I want to go to Georgia Rays, and then it's technically not a track, but I want to go out to the pad, and I want to make a pass at the pad. I don't know that I'll do anything with a pad this year or not. It all depends on how everything else goes. But now I am going to some point in time this year. I don't know the date. We're supposed to go to Oklahoma. Uh, we're supposed to go to Oklahoma to I think it's called Thunder Valley. Does that sound right? We're supposed to go out there and actually race. I've never been. I've never been west of the Mississippi to anything, so I look forward to that. Richard, you should do Power Tour this year, because it starts in Indy. Yeah, we talked about doing George Ray's last year in 24. We actually, a couple of us got together and planned out a date to go out there, and then we got invested doing the driving drag and getting our cars ready to do the driving drag, and we ended up not going. So uh, we may do that this year. We're gonna do street car. We're just gonna do street cars in it, like like my buddy was gonna take his Falcon, and I was gonna take my Comet. I mean, not Comet. I'm sorry, my Cougar, and we were gonna literally drive from here out there, and then make passes. Just make a road trip out of it. I think it was like 12 hours from here. Uh, you can do power tour in any car, buddy. It doesn't matter if it's a brand new car. Go get your rental car and do power tour if you want to. Um, it's just a big rolling car show, but you're allowed to do whatever the facility offers at that time. It starts in Indy this year, and it ends in Norwalk, Ohio. So I don't know if I'll do. I don't know if I'll do anything in Indy, but uh, I'm I may very well go down the track at Norwalk just to say I have the. I don't know what they'll have there. I don't know. Again, I've never laid eyes on that facility, so since it's called Summit Motorsports Complex or something like that, I imagine they have more there than just drag racing, but they may not. Uh, I look forward to seeing that place, seeing what it looks like. Uh, there's a killer track in Indiana, Lyons, Indiana. That's a gorgeous track too. We've been down that track several times. A beautiful track. Oh, I'm trying to think if there's any other two drag and drive cars for the summer 26. Drag and drive's fun, man. I've been so hooked on that stuff since I done my first one. Um, I've done drag week a couple times, and then the Southeast Street Meet. Uh, the Southeast Street Meet is one I'll do every time now. It's a lot shorter than drag week, and it's closer to home, and I absolutely love it. I'm so addicted to that stuff now. I want to do sick week, but I can never get in on it. I can't. By the time I find out about it, it's or find the time it opens up, it's already sold out. It took me a couple tries to ever get in on drag week the first time, so I have done drag week now. Actually, twice. I think both times. Well, one time is right there. Um, so we look. I mean, we love driving drags. It's just so much fun. Kind of want that to be the direction the Galaxy goes is drag and drive. That's why I went through the process putting a whole new wire and harness on it. Got all the factory stuff working now. The horn, the factory horn, the factory turn signals, factory lights, even the AM radio and dash. I mean, everything on that car works now, just like it came from the factory in '63. And I've done all that with intents that I want to take it on a drive and drag. Russell, I have put in the interest form for Six Smokies. Um, I mean, that's my home right there. I mean, yours too. But uh, I've put in the interest form. I'm just waiting on an entry to the thing to open up, and hopefully I can type fast enough to get in on Six Smokies. I'm I'm kind of stoked about that one. I would love to do Six Smokies. I believe he puts on one. Uh, is it called something like Sick Michigan? Something like that. I think he puts on one like that too. I think it's called Sick Michigan. Uh, that I would do. I know that sounds like a long way from me, but since my in laws live in Michigan, that uh, we can turn that into a family vacation. Go up there, spend some time with the in laws, and then go do a drive and drag. But Six Smokies, definitely. I'm all about Six Smokies. I just can't figure out where they're going to go, where the tracks are going to be for Six Smokies. Uh, Shady Side would almost have to be one of them, I think, but I don't know. Um, what else could you do? I guess because you'd have to do them within like an hour, hour and a half of each other. I can't even spitball what tracks they would do to do Six Smokies. Because technically, I guess to do the Smokies, you could do anything from North Georgia to, I mean, technically, I guess even Bristol could fall into that. I mean, right? I mean, it's in the mountains. I don't know what tracks they would do. Uh, Again, you'd have to find ones that was an hour, hour and a half apart. Richard, I need to visitate with you one time when we're up there. We come up there a couple times a year, so I know you're not far. The last time we talked about it, I know you're not too terrible far away from where my in laws are. So we need to visitate at some point in time when we come through up there. Uh, this weather's got my nose so stuffed up. Uh, but I would love to soon Bristol, Knoxville, maybe jump into North Carolina. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you could do Knoxville. I don't know if Knoxville. Well, yeah, does Knoxville have the parking for that? Maybe Bristol definitely. Um, I almost think you'd have to come down into North Carolina to do. You could do Bristol. You could do Bristol, and then you could do. Oh, what's the name of that track over there? They've got an amusement park tied to it. Uh, oh, bowl, bowl, Bowling Green. You could do Bristol, Bowling Green. Maybe come down. Oh, I don't even know. I mean, I really don't know. You'd have to go. I don't know if they go south or north, but that would be at least two of the tracks you could come across from Bristol to Bowling Green. I don't think that would be a terrible long drive, and you could do it that way. That would be at least two of the tracks. You might could hit Knoxville in there. I don't know if Knoxville has enough parking. Um, yeah, I don't know. Um, you could probably get into. I mean, Mooresville could be in there somewhere. Mooresville has the parking for it, but well, actually, you know what? I don't think he would do Mooresville because I think all the sick stuff is all quarter mile stuff. So Bristol and Bowling Green definitely. I don't know. I don't know what other quarter mile tracks are down there. Once you get start going south, it's hard to find a quarter mile track. They would almost have to run some eighth mile tracks to do. They'd almost have to run eighth mile to do Six Smokies. I think. I don't know if there's enough. I don't know if they can find enough quarter mile tracks to do it. Southeast, about everything is eighth mile now. Yeah, I don't think he could. I think it would have to be. I think it'd have to be 8th mile stuff. Most of the quarter-mile stuff is gone now. I mean, I guess you could throw in Charlotte over, but that's. I mean, you'd be stretching it to call that the Smokies, you know. And then that's a long gap between the others, unless they go north, unless they start somewhere around Bowling Green and Bristol and go north up the Smokies there, and it's not actually in the southern part. I don't know. We'll see when it comes out. I don't know what they're going to do with it yet. It'll be interesting to see how they run that one. Um, I don't know. You need to, Russell. You need to come down this way in. I think it'll be in November. They haven't actually released the dates yet, and do the Southeast Street Meet. It was 650 miles. We done 5 tracks. It was 650 miles. We done 5 tracks in 4 days because we done 2 tracks in one day. But to be fair, those tracks were 45 minutes between the two of them, so we could do them both in one day. And that was a great time. It was phenomenal. Uh, it's one of the more fun ones I've ever done. Um, Seen a lot of great sights. Well, I think I'm gonna jump off here, guys. It's getting late. At least where I'm at, it's getting late, and I'm getting all kind of stuffed up. So I'm gonna jump off here, and you guys hang in there. I hope you enjoy some of the stuff we put out there, uh, and just come up and do drop the hammer, drive and drag. I've never heard of that one, Richard. Drop the drop the hammer, drag and drive. When does that one take place? I've never heard of drop the hammer. Now you got me wanting to look that up. I was ready to trying to hang up the phone, Richard. Drop the hammer. Now I gotta see if I can find some. Yeah, we'll catch you later. Drop the hammer. I'm gonna have to look into this one and see what this is all about. Is it just a Michigan thing? Drop the hammer. May 30th to June the 1st. Great Lakes Drop the Hammer competition, street legal. I'm going to have to look into this, but unfortunately, June the 1st, I think that's Power Tour starts like the 5th or so I may not be able to do it this year. But I'm going to look into that. Uh, 131. Okay. I'll look into that. Uh, I'll look into that. You guys have a good night. I'm gonna jump off here, and I'll catch you guys later. We got some more stuff coming out this weekend, so y'all make sure to stay tuned to the channel. We'll see you guys on the next one.